Humanity has charted nearly every moon of Jupiter. Yet here on Earth, less than 0.001% of microbial life is known. A single drop of melting glacier water can hold thousands of unseen species. And in the time it takes me to speak this sentence, 500,000 tons of ice will melt, carrying with them tens of quadrillions of microbes. What we're losing is not just microscopic life. It's an invisible economy of possibility. The greatest frontier left to explore isn't in space. It's right here, in the air, beneath our feet, within our bodies, and in every drop of water. Microbes run the world. They created the oxygen we breathe, the soils that feed us, and even the mitochondria in our cells. We are not a single organism, but a negotiated alliance, a trillion-cell partnership between human and microbe. They digest our food, regulate our emotions, and train our immune systems. The microbial frontier isn't out there alone. It's also within us. And within each microbe is a design, a blueprint. Over 1 trillion species may exist, yet we've only barely begun to grasp their vastness. In 1928, Alexander Fleming left a window open in his lab. A fungal spore drifted in, a chance encounter that changed the world. From that happy accident came penicillin, the first antibiotic. Years later, Mary Hunt found a better strain on a cantaloupe, unleashing mass production. Together, their discoveries have saved nearly 500 million lives and generated hundreds of billions of dollars in the past 8 decades. But stories like penicillin are still the exception. Today, across all of industry, we rely on fewer than 500 microbial strains. 500 out of what may be over 1 trillion. I'm an architect by training. Cement and concrete, the second most consumed substance on the planet after water, account for 8% of global carbon emissions. Nearly 20 years ago, I began to wonder, what if you could grow cement, similar to how coral reefs form? That question moved from a sketchbook to a second bedroom lab, and what began as a single experiment grew into a global effort, bringing together 56 different disciplines, proving that we could use bacteria to grow concrete at industrial scale. I could go on and on about biocement, but the real breakthrough wasn't the material itself. It was the realization that biology can partner with legacy industries like construction. That idea opened a new chapter beyond cement, about building with life itself. So we began collecting microbial communities from caves, deserts, even mining waste, searching for diversity that could solve more problems. Thousands. Interestingly, some form different crystal structures, as diverse as snowflakes. And this is just a glimpse of a much larger library, an archive of blueprints that the planet has been writing for nearly 4 billion years. So, what if we could open the full library of all microbial diversity? Imagine if soils could remember droughts, where microbes record dry years in biochemical code and prepare for what's coming. Multiple researchers have found microbes that can eat plastic. Others can remove PFAS, a problem found everywhere. And some that can extract rare earth metals from discarded electronics. All of these possibilities exist in nature's blueprints. Today, from the less than 0.001% of microbes we know, around 20% of the world's copper and 5% of gold are now mined with microbes. Companies are using microbes to capture and store carbon as materials. Others are growing pigments and food dyes. Our next breakthroughs won't come from single strains or monocultures. They'll come from consortia, microbial communities that share labor, exchange signals, and multiply one another's potential. What if microbial consortia could end the age of forever chemicals and in the same decade restore a century's worth of lost soil? These microbes are found at the planet's edges, from glaciers, deserts, and volcanoes where life first learned to begin again. This is what intelligence looks like in nature. By 2050, global demand of food, water, and materials will increase by 50 to 500%, and that's just to sustain progress. Extraction defined the industrial age, effective in the short term, but ultimately linear, finite, and blind to consequence. This century will be defined by distributed intelligence, systems that produce what they need, where they're needed, and regenerate as they go. Every era had its material: stone, iron, silicon. The next will be alive, the age of complexity, where biology, technology, and economics finally intersect. Everything we consume is either grown or mined. To meet our global needs by 2050, we need to move from today's thousands to billions of microbial applications across every scale. We can achieve this by accessing the 99.999% strategically and at unprecedented speed. And to do that, we need both infrastructure for access and long-term preservation akin to an ark. Imagine a distributed library of microbial intelligence, digital and physical, a living commons for global collaboration, a system capable of preserving the planet's microbial diversity beyond our lifetimes, while maintaining it searchable, interoperable, and usable for the challenges of today and the unknowns ahead. Around the world, pieces of this are already emerging. Scientists racing to preserve and sequence all microbes before glaciers melt, organizations collecting human microbiome samples for long-term safekeeping, engineers building open databases that link genomes to function. What's missing is coordination, linking preservation, data, and application into one living network for translating life itself. Nature's already solved this. Microbes coordinate across vast distances without central control. Our task is to design and operate digital and physical knowledge systems by the same principle: many nodes, shared intelligence, and continuous regeneration. A transparent, incentive-driven commons capable of ushering in an economy that can outpace fossil fuels. Microbial applications today already underpin industries worth over $1 trillion in the global economy, and that's just with a tiny fraction of Earth's library open to us. We often think of innovation as a solo act, a scientist in a lab, a discovery made in isolation. But unlocking this invisible frontier will take something very different. It will take translation between disciplines, between cultures, and it will take all of us. Tinkers and makers, builders and dreamers, translators and doers. Past generations built seed banks to preserve the plants that feed us. Now we face a new choice. Will we build accessible knowledge for microbial life itself to safeguard the invisible systems that sustain every future economy, every ecosystem, every breath? Microbes are not background life. They are the blueprints of resilience, our living records of adaptation. Our future and our survival will be defined by what we choose to unlock and what we choose to treasure.